Well, it ain't the never-ending story, but this album is still pretty good, man. Just don't go into it expecting to hear from Falkor the Luck Dragon, who I imagine has serious bars with that voice and that magical power that he got going on. What's up, everyone? It's Luke James, not the singer. If you're looking to get your music reviewed, you can hit up this email. That's right here. But right now, you are tuned into my review for J.I.D's album, The Never Story. Now, J.I.D is an MC from out of Atlanta who is signed to J. Cole's Dreamville label, and this is a project that a lot of you were asking me to review. So I wanted to make sure I came through for you guys, because you guys have often put me up on some pretty dope shit. And I would say that this is no exception to that rule, because there are definitely some nice moments on here. I especially like the track General, where he's rapping a little bit about his story, how he got kicked out of college. On this track, he really flexes some nice flows, and also that unique voice of his, which kind of sounds whiny for the lack of a better way of describing it. I'm not saying his voice sounds bad, but it is a little bit whiny and high-pitched. So that's something that people might love, and some people might be turned off by it. But for me personally, I thought it just sounded kind of cool and made him stick out a little bit. There's also some nice production on this one with the snaky bass line, and as far as the beats throughout this album, there weren't many that really blew me away and gave me the screw face thinking that this was some next level shit or shit I'd never heard before, but it does stay pretty smooth and solid throughout, so there weren't too many beats on this that I actually hated. And since I just mentioned his unique rap voice, I do have to bring up that he does a bit of singing on this project as well. But those couple of R&B tracks are actually my least favorites, because I didn't think anything was too fascinating about his singing voice. I mean, he doesn't sound bad, but there's nothing here that's overly great as far as hitting crazy notes, and the songs themselves are your pretty typical smooth R&B relationships-based tracks. I'm talking about Hereditary and All Bad. But All Bad has a sample on it that I recognize. I cannot place it. At first I thought it was from Solange's track Weary, but I know I heard that shit somewhere else. I've heard that same sample flipped on something maybe by Isaiah or Mick Jenkins or Absol. I can't place it, but I know someone out there knows what I'm talking about, so if you recognize that sample flip, let me know. And on the topic of recognizable sample flips, on EdEddnEddy, they actually flipped the same sample from a Tribe Called Quest classic track, Scenario. Now, obviously, they don't flip it as good as on Scenario, because that is just one of the most classic tracks of all time. And I did think this beat was a little bit drowsy and dull, and even the rapping on this wasn't as strong as it is on some of these other tracks, because J.I.D does have a fire-ass flow, which you will hear as you listen throughout this album, including on Never, where he really kills it on that last verse. And this is another song where he spits a bit about his come-up story and his struggle, and you get some nice deep bass on this one as well. So Never was actually one of my favorite tracks. But another thing I got to bring up is, obviously with the title of EdEddnEddy, you're going to get some cartoon references to that show. And even on Never, he has a bar where he says that he gets the crowd jumping like Zaboomafoo, who was everyone's favorite lemur, and I believe he died actually a couple years ago. So you know what? Rest in peace to that homie Zaboomafoo. I just think these references help keep things light and fun throughout this album. There was even a line about how you can't count on a Ninja Turtle's hand, something along those lines, because they only have 3 fingers, I think it is, so that was kind of funny. I believe it was on the track Division. But as much as I like these references and think J.I.D can flow his ass off, there are definitely some hurting bars on this thing, man, and it really just stuck out to me and made me cringe in some spots, including on the track Underwear, where on the hook he says a revolution is underway, but someone is giggling and they misunderstood him because they think he said underwear, which is so funny because underwear is so funny. Like, can you believe people wear underwear? That shit I just really could not get into. I thought it was very, very goofy. And there's a line on this track that's one of the worst things I ever heard in my life, where he says, if there's an issue, let's address it like salad. Come on, lettuce. That is just, oh my God. That is up there for one of the worst bars of 2017. I see what he was going for, but that shit was just drawn out and way too forced. And it's the same thing on Hood Booger, where he says a line about how his bone is the busiest, but he's not, there's no harmony thug, something like that. It's just, let me get this right, just so you know. I can't sit here and make fun of his lines if I'm not saying it right. He spits, ain't no harmony thug, but my bone is the busiest. That's what the line is. So I get what he's saying. Obviously a reference to Busy Bone from Bone Thugs. But again, that shit just seems way too forced. So you will get some of those moments, but for the most part, the rapping is pretty good, and his flow, as I said, is dope. But overall, this album wasn't something that blew me away. I definitely wasn't feeling it as much as some of you guys were, I think, because a lot of you were saying this is one of the best projects of the year. But it was a good start, man. It definitely got me interested to hear more from J.I.D or J.I.D. I mean, I heard him say both on this, but I'm going to go with J.I.D because, you know, I heard him say that a couple more times, I believe. But either way, this album wasn't something that I could see making my top 10 list, but I love his flow, man. He is ripping it on some of these tracks. I'm interested to hear what he does next, but I think he could have some stronger production that maybe is a bit more memorable, and even some deeper topics and better content would help here. In those two fields, there wasn't much that really grabbed my attention and had me thinking that he was overly great, the content and the production. But as I said multiple times, he can rap his ass off, so you can't take that away from him at all. But even with the feature from Black on 8701, I felt like he didn't capitalize on that because Black is quite popular right now. He's getting his name out there, but that track was another one that was kind of dull and one of my least favorites. So, you know, there are a couple of missteps here, but I would still go with a 3 out of 5 because the rapping really saves it for me. I'm a fan of people who have bars and can spit because, hey man, when you're rapping, that's about half the battle or more than that. So he definitely proves it on here. There are some great moments, but that's just what I thought about it. You guys could let me know in the comment section what you think. And of course, man, make sure you do all that good YouTube and social media stuff where you like my videos, you share them, you follow me on Twitter, you retweet the damn videos, subscribe, you know what to do. Click like on the Facebook page where you got all kinds of discussion going on. Thank you for watching, everybody. I will see you next time.